And then we adopted a resolution to ask the Executive Committee to draw up a comprehensive economic package based on the papers presented on the economy during this conference. Similarly, to draw up an agriculture package based on the papers on agriculture presented during this conference. Further, the conference authorized the Executive Committee to draw up a constitution for the future Union of Burma. These were the resolutions adopted at our conference, and I'll be very happy to answer any questions and to go into details where necessary.
Can you give us some more details on when you expect
We'll have to start the work now. We've been given this responsibility, so we must start the work as soon as we can.
Any idea how long it could possibly take?
It doesn't take that long to draw up a constitution if you've got a will to do it.
So the next month?
I cannot really give a date, but I don't think it should take that long.
So before the end of the year?
I should hope so. Are there any more questions? We will have this translated into English as soon as possible.
Was there any discussion about the role of the army in the new constitution?
Well, we shall be drawing up a constitution. We did mention the army in our resolutions, where we said that we want the army to be an honorable institution responsible for the defense of the nation and of its democratic principles.
Would it have a political role?
We have always said that Parliament should be supreme, and Parliament should be made up of elected representatives of the people. Within that framework, of course, the army, like other institutions, will have a role to play. Are there any more questions?
Are you not concerned that the military will take that as a very open and confrontational move? You're saying that you're going to draw up your own constitution.
I think at one time in 1988, the authorities invited everybody to give their views on what should be in a state constitution. They said anybody was free to write, and I do know of people who wrote to the elections. I don't know where they send their letters to. So I think everybody is free to draft a constitution that they will think is suitable for the country. Why not? I can sit down and do it. Anybody can sit down and do it. There's nothing in the law that says that we have no right to draft a constitution which we think would be good for the country.
But realistically, given what they've been saying over the past weeks today and recently, saying that we're already
They regard everything we do as confrontational. Anything that is not in line with their policies is seen as confrontational. Whereas we believe that we can create unity out of diversity. Well, the main thing about our economic policy paper is that the free market economy has to be within a framework of a sound legal system that will give security to businesses and industries, and that we want to make sure that there are equal opportunities under the law. It has to be a real market economy. It has to be truly open to everybody, not just to some who are privileged. But the papers are rather long, so it's difficult for me to go into them. Yes, to draft the Constitution. Are there any more questions?
Also, given the special circumstances here in Burma, is that line of the military not having any political role open in any way to negotiation in the future? Do you see any circumstances?
We've always said that we don't set any preconditions with regard to dialogue. Everything is open to negotiation.
But Parliament will be supreme and only elected representatives.
This is our policy. The Parliament will be supreme and made up of elected representatives of the people.
So that's a non-negotiable point?
That is what we believe in. That is what the NLA believes in. But as I said, everything is negotiable, and in the end, it is the people who must decide what form of country they want, what kind of political system they want.
So the military could still have some position?
That is not for me to say. I think it's too premature to talk about such things when we haven't got anybody in dialogue yet.
And would you be open to talks about talks? There seems to be maybe an element to
Talks about talks are fine. Aren't we having talks about talks right now?
the talks with them, talk about us.
Well, they seem to be talking about talks in the newspapers these days.
You take that as a good sign?
We take everything in the state newspapers with a large pinch of salt. Any more questions?
Economic policy discussed, what did it say about the foreign investment?
Well, we believe in foreign investment, but foreign investment has to be such that it will be truly beneficial to the country as a whole. Well, I think all you have to do is, I think it is important for us to have some kind of economic package ready. Let's put it this way, the channels seem to be extremely narrow. Well, there are all sorts of restrictions. In the first place, the authorities are trying to interfere through the Elections Commission in the internal organization of the party. This is totally contrary to the regulations with regard to the registration of political parties. And secondly, throughout the country, everywhere, the party members are harassed, and in some places they are not allowed to hold meetings even in their own offices. And in some places they are allowed to hold meetings, but the local authorities and the military intelligence insist on sitting in on the meetings and listening to everything. And then there is this peculiar regulation which they brought about in 1991 to the effect that we cannot recruit new members, and also that we cannot reorganize the various committees of our party, from the executive committee at the center right down to the committees at the village and ward level. And if the numbers in the committees drop to less than 5, the committees will have to be, the office will have to be closed down. Now, you're not even allowed to die, that is to say, if there are only 5 members and one dies, that's it. The committee goes. They're not allowed to replace somebody who has died. This is a deliberate move to try to strangle the NLD to death slowly. But we reject these regulations because these are not in line with the regulations of the registration of political parties. And then, of course, we have not been given the license to bring out any publications. Whereas the NUP, the party which supported the slaughter, and which was beaten so very badly in the 1990 election, the NUP is allowed to bring out its regular newsletter, I think they call it. So there are these sorts of regulations, not of course to mention the fact that our people keep getting arrested all the time.
Do you have any more information about the detainees, their condition, where they're being held up or being held in prison?
No, but I believe one of our young women has been released. That she was released yesterday. She was not an elected representative. So, this is one of our young workers.
Has NLD developed any platform or policy or agenda to address the concerns of ethnic minorities?
We have brought out a paper on our ethnic policy. We brought this out in February on Union Day.
And is that available in English, or could you describe?
Did we translate it into English? I think there's a translation in English.
And what are the main points?
The main points are that the union will have to be built on the agreement of all peoples concerned. And we think that there is a necessity for